It happened, guys. It happened. Hello everybody. I'm the Super27, and welcome to another Dokkan Battle video. It happened. So I tweeted this out a little while ago. I know I've said this a few times in videos, but if we get a Prime Battle Bio Broly, I will never forgive Amatsu. And I wake up to this. Now, granted, I've seen this a while ago. This isn't going to be my first time seeing his animations. This isn't going to be my first time reading his kit. Which is why I feel conflicted. Because he actually seems pretty freaking good. It's just, man, we already had a free-to-play grindable Broly. Are we ever going to get a summonable Bio Broly? I mean, he's a Prime Battle. I hate Prime Battles. But I'm going to choose to look past this, because I am happy that we do have an LR Bio Broly actually coming to the game very, very soon. Now, from what I understand, yeah, this confirms it. His details that they tweeted out are for when he EZAs, but as far as I'm aware, only his Prime Battle has been announced, not a Prime Battle EZA on top of that. So he will probably drop at the end of Part 2, and then during the EX Part 3, we can actually expect to see a Bio Broly EZA or whatever. So, this is Uncontrollable Power Bio Broly, or the Terrifying... What is that? Terrifying Biotechnology Bio Broly. He leads Uncontrollable Power, 4 key, 150 to stat, which actually isn't bad. I mean, he's essentially just a yellow coin leader. For a free-to-play, could be worse. Alright, so for his passive, can I actually pull this up on the Dokkan Wiki, I wonder? Alright, so his details are not on the Dokkan Wiki yet, so I just did this right here. So, his passive is the last remaining Battle Instinct. He has an entrance animation, which activates only once. He gets randomly key between 8 and 10, so... I mean, that's pretty good. He'll essentially always be super attacking at the start of turn. I don't know why, because I thought at first I was like, oh, because movie 8, but like, Bio Broly is movie 11, so wouldn't it make more sense to go from 8 to 11 key instead of 8 to 10, because movie 10 is the second coming of Broly? I don't know. But he randomly gets 8 to 10 key. He recovers 26% HP at the end of turn, starting for, at the end of the character's attacking turn, and launches an additional super attack for 4 turns from the character's entry turn when there's another uncontrollable power category ally on the team. So after this, he loses all of this. This is all from his intro. Okay, so for his first 4 turns, he's recovering 26% HP at the end of the turn. That's good. He's doing guaranteed additional supers, and he's getting 8 to 10 key. That's pretty good. Alright, so then after that, at the start of every turn, he gets 3 key, and a 50% chance to crit. Not bad. He has 180 to stats, and he has 30% damage reduction when performing a super, so potentially AoE bosses could catch this guy. He gets another 30% damage reduction when all allies in the rotation are uncontrollable power. Alright. He gets an additional chance to crit, plus 6% up to 30%, and 6% damage reduction, also up to 30%, with each turn that passed, starting from... And starting from this character's 7th turn, he loses 6% damage reduction, no more than 30. Alright, so essentially what this is saying is that on turn 1, after this guy supers, he has 60% damage reduction. He comes back around, let's say you keep him on the main rotation in slot 2. When he comes back around, after he supers, he's going to have 72% damage reduction. And then the turn after that, he's going to have 84, and then the turn after that, he would have 90, but then he would lose it thereafter. So he would go back down to 84 if you kept him on main rotation. Because this is going to go up even on turns that he's not on. And this is also going to go down on turns that he's not on. So he's actually going to be like a very impressive slot 2 or slot 3 unit. The only thing that kind of potentially catches me off guard, again, is going to be AoEs. And the fact that he only has 180% defense at the start of turn. Because I'm trying to think, there are characters who get caught with like 60% damage reduction. Which is what he has after supering. Like the brand new Broly, again, I obviously don't have the brand new Broly yet. If you saw my summoning video, I don't have him. But I did see the truth video where after supering, he got tagged by a Champa super attack and he ate like 300k. Which, granted, like, you can live that, especially if he's going to be recovering his own HP for the first couple of turns. But, like, could this guy potentially take a lot of damage? I mean, maybe. But, I mean, he essentially does everything. He has additionals. He's very, like, key reliant. He doesn't need it. He does HP recovery for his first couple of turns. I mean, obviously, you have to run him on Uncontrollable Power, which you can do right now. Like, Uncontrollable Power is, like, a fine category just because it's the Broly team, essentially. You can, like, sub in Fat Boo. You can sub in a bunch of random things if you really wanted to, but the most optimal way to run it is just to run Broly movie bosses with Cell Max, for example. But he has crit, he has damage reduction. I mean, he doesn't have support, but he doesn't necessarily need that. He seems pretty solid, all things considered, for a free-to-play. I think he's going to actually be very, very good with his passive. And then he also has this, and I don't know how I entirely... Oop, I hit the wrong thing. I don't entirely know how I feel about this. So, he has an active skill, which utilizes his giant transformation in the movie. Now, I know at the end of the movie, he goes giant. He doesn't actually do anything because the water... if you haven't seen the Bio Broly movie in a long time, essentially, Bio Broly is made out of this biomechanical goo, which is like an acid or whatever that kills pretty much everything that it touches instantly. But it calcifies when coming into contact with water. So, the end of the movie, then the factory that they're in, they end up blowing up the factory. Broly falls into the water. He then grows really big because he's able to absorb all the different goo that was in the factory, because obviously the factory blew up. But they're in the middle of the ocean, so even though he's really big, he calcifies super quickly. That's when Goten and Trunks are able to do that final Kamehameha, and they just blow him up. So, I understand why you might not want to inherently give him, like, a giant transformation like Broly or whatever, but... technically, Uncontrollable Power already has a team protection mechanic with, what's his face? Cell Max that you're able to use on turn 6 if you're running full movie bosses, which, like, you are able to do, under the Uncontrollable Power window. So let's just really quickly see what he actually does. And this is, again, like an original attack as far as I'm aware, the Ultra Genome Ray. Again, to my knowledge, Broly does not actually do anything in the movie. I don't know if this is a Dokkan original attack, because I know there already is obviously a giant Bio Broly in the game. So I don't know if there's some other game that created this attack, kind of like with the Super 17, like the big green circle attack that he does in Xenoverse 2, and that has just been transferred over to, like, literally every other Dragon Ball game. That actually doesn't appear in the anime, as far as I'm aware. I think that is, like, a Xenoverse original. So maybe it's the same thing for this, like Xenoverse did something for giant Bio Broly, and that's just been transferred over. The condition to do this is when all allies in the same turn or Uncontrollable Power category allies, starting from the 6th turn from this character's entry turn. Damn, that's late into a fight. So that's turn 7 at the earliest. Turn 7 at the earliest. At the latest, you got them on turn... yeah, the latest would be turn 10, right? If you got them in slot 7? Turn 10, dude. That's up against, like, Gogeta Blue and the Supreme Magnificent Spectacle fight for him. But this temporarily massively raises attack and does ultimate damage to the enemy. Then Broly gets guard for 1 turn, and you direct all enemy attacks at him. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's going to have guard and 84% damage reduction, because the attack would count as a super. Like, you know, because... Dokkan is kind of weird where, like, an active skill counts as a 24 key in a lot of instances. I believe that this would proc this right here. So you do the active skill. He's bare minimum having 60% damage reduction. 30 from having the Uncontrollable Power rotation, and the other 30 from performing a super. And then because you're so deep into the fight, you're roughly going to have another 30 here, another 24 here, something along those lines. It depends on how, like, early you're able to, like, really take advantage of this. Plus guard. He is probably actually going to be untouchable during this turn. Like, I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, like, Sleepy Beerus, EP Beerus has a target all mechanic, and EP Beerus kind of sucks. But EP Beerus, as far as I'm aware, he's just, like, raw dogging that with stats. I guess we can actually pull up EP Beerus real quick. It shouldn't be too far back. Here we go. What is your standby mechanic? It's when he's transformed. So this is transformed EP Beerus. He gets 200% defense at the start of turn. He has 50% damage reduction. He gets an extra 100% defense with 3 or more key spheres. So he can actually get up to 80% damage reduction if you give him 5 key spheres. I mean, EV Beerus can get clapped up on this turn, though. I've seen it happen. But most of the time when people say that, like, EP Beerus is bad, they're kind of thinking of this form where he can attack, he has 200k defense, and he has 50% damage reduction, but he loses the damage reduction as the turns go by, and he has to kind of make up for it with, like, the orb collection mechanic. Is Bio Broly going to be untouchable? So, let's think right here just for a second. He has 180 at the start of turn, and that's it, which is pretty low by my standards. I think 200% is, like, the bare minimum. But he has 60% damage reduction, bare minimum, plus guard. And then he potentially has... I mean, yeah, no, I don't think anything's going to be able to touch him on this turn. I don't think so. Because I'm trying to think right now, like, Tech Broly, Tech Carnival Broly, I have kept him in his base form before and put him in slot 1, and against some of the supers, you'll take, like, 1,400 damage, where it's like, oh, well, that's with guard, 200% defense, and 90% damage reduction, which is true. Like, that can happen, but even if this guy does take damage, I feel like it's going to be relatively minimal, because, like, turn 1 up against Evokin, they're launching a 2.4 million, and if you're only eating, like, 1,000 damage, or, like, 14,000 damage, that's fine. I actually think Bio Broly probably has one of the better target mechanics in the game, because he's doing damage on top of essentially being unkillable. Now, you kind of want to launch this as early as you can, though, because he does start to taper off. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, Fusion Zamasu is a good example of this, or, like, LR Golden Frieza. Well, like, turn 1 when they have 80 or 90% damage reduction, those guys are untouchable. Turn 3, though, that loss of, like, 20% damage reduction that they both lose, you can feel it. When Zamasu only has 60% damage reduction and Golden Frieza only has 70, all of a sudden you go from double-digit tanking to, like, sometimes you're taking 200, 300, 400k plus on some of these supers that they get caught. So I feel like Bio Broly could maybe be in the same situation, just because, again, naturally, only 180, it is kind of low, but he's getting guard. He already has a massive amount of damage reduction. It is a target also, it's a team protection. It's a delayed, though, team protection. Like, you could do, I guess if you were running Cell Max, you could keep Cell Max on one rotation, this Bio Broly on the other, and do... because you would be able to do Cell Maxes on turn 6. You could do turn 6. Let's say you got Bio Broly in slot 1. You could do Bio Broly's on turn 7. That would be 2 back-to-back turns where you would be able to have the team protection mechanic. That could potentially be huge, especially since the, like, movie bosses, uncontrollable power team right now. It does have a couple of characters who are weaker defensively. You know, you have, like, Tech, Yellow Coin, EZA Broly. You have Int EZA Broly if you want to bring him. Paragus, I don't know if anyone's still running that kid, but you can bring Paragus, you know, that would protect him. I actually like this, but do I like this more than it just being a giant, like, you know what I mean? Because I understand then, yeah, that would be more animations. They would have to give him 2 new super attack animations. I mean, they could just reuse the same ones they already have. Also, that's kind of another bummer of this character. They didn't really go all out with Broly's animations. It's a Prime battle, I do understand it. He actually has voice acting, though, which is a little bit crazy. I know it's just him going like, rah, but he does actually have voice acting, so I will take that as a dub. But if this was a giant mechanic, because I'm trying to think, realistically, is this attack going to cross any damage threshold? Because I know an argument for giant transformations is, oh, they take forever, they do essentially the same thing, and, like, it's not fun watching Orange Piccolo go up against Golden Frieza and Goku. Having that Orange Piccolo transformation lasting 2, 3, 4 minutes plus, and it's just 0 after 0 after 0 after 0. That's not fun either, and I do understand that. But I'm trying to think, is this going to do damage? Because I actually kind of prefer giant transformations over the team protection mechanics, because it's not always guaranteed. I mean, with, like, some of the more modern bosses, yeah, like, every single turn, one of the big bosses, they're going to be supering once per turn, essentially. But it's not always guaranteed that they, like, use an AoE. But even if they use an AoE, the team protection doesn't protect you against that. Or, you know, they're not always going to super. If you use a giant transformation, a 2-3 turn giant transformation, you are guaranteed to waste the enemy's healing. You're guaranteed to waste their supers. You are guaranteed to waste their AoEs. They have no gimmick that they can pull up their sleeve. So it's more protection. It just takes a little bit longer, takes a little bit more of your time, but you're much safer as a result. Like, what happens if you bring this guy into an AoE boss? You pop this. Yeah, I mean, he's protected, but if there's still an AoE, LR Yellow Coin EZA Broly, he's still going to get slapped up because he doesn't get his guard or any of his defense until after he supers. I don't know. Let me know what you think about the target all mechanic. I mean, I feel like it's probably fine. It is good. Obviously, the villains are having yet another team protection ability. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm critiquing or whatever. I think this character actually is for, like, free-to-play standards. He's, like, doing the things of a summonable LR, all things considered. Like, is it a hot take if I say that this guy has a more cohesive kit than the brand new Broly? Like, the summonable one? I don't know. He has beep... What? Why does this kid have big bad bosses? What? That's funny. All right. I didn't know that he has big bad bosses. That's funny. All right. Amatsu was clowning around when he was making this one. He was doing some funny things, but like the only difference between this guy being a summonable LR and not a summonable LR, like if this was 260 right here. Like, would he be a top 10 LR in the game? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Genuinely, if he had 260% defense right here, he has his damage reduction build-up mechanic. I mean, he's basically a yellow coin leader. What are all of his links? Big Bad Bosses, Sand Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Shattering the Limit, Fear and Faith. So he's gonna have, like, Big Bad Bosses, Berserker. Does Cell Max have Fear and Faith? I don't know. So he's going to have like 3 to 4 links with Cell Max, and he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 with the Broly unit. So he's going to link fine with Cell Max and Broly. That's so fun. Why does this kid have big bad bosses and none of the other Brolys did? Oh, Amatsu, you're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. You certainly are a funny guy. Are his super attack effects public? They are. Okay. So, his 12 key is what it looks like here. It is the Meteor Crush. Greatly raises attack for 1 turn, colossal damage to the enemy, and lowers attack. We love lowering attack. And is there... oh, here we go. Alright, and then the 18 key is greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn and cause mega colossal damage to the enemy. Not bad. I mean, obviously, I would much prefer defense here, but debuffs are good. You are able to debuff a lot of fights. I mean, he's not... I mean, again, he really is like a summonable LR. Like, they kind of cooked. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am... Like, the past me, I am disappointed that this guy is a Prime Battle. But I don't think I could have asked for a better kit. The only, like, genuinely the only thing would be, like, even if this was 200%, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable with him. Because 200% is, like, how much Evoken and AGL MUI start off. Now, granted, SSBE and AGL MUI, they can build up with how many attacks they do, or how many attacks they receive, or how many attacks they dodge, or whatever. They have more passive build-up. They get way higher than just 200%. This guy's going to be capped at 180, so he's really not going to be doing, like, impressive damage, even with his crits. How do you build him? You just build him full dodge, right? Yeah, I feel like bronze, you give him the highest defense you possibly can, like 700, 800. Because he might have exclusive skill orbs, I don't know. But yeah, you just give him as much defense as possible, because that'll also help out tremendously when you do the target all mechanic turn. Again, just in case he could potentially... I don't think he would with guard and like 84 roughly % damage reduction. This guy is essentially going to be Fusion Zamasu on... Fusion Zamasu's turn 1 is going to be this guy's turn 7. Which is insane to think about. A summonable unit from a year ago is now what we are comparing a free-to-play in today's standards. Is this guy like, I kind of said that as a joke, but is he like a top 10 LR? Or is he at least in the conversation for like top 15? Because he's going to be doing more than like his damage reduction is going to be more than like Golden Frieza in 17. Now, granted, Golden Frieza in 17, they have like the crazy active skill. I mean, he also has crazy active skill. He's just going to be unkillable. And again, he's not offering damage. He doesn't support either, is the thing. Like, I don't mind necessarily when, like, a unit needs to be on a certain category, but I do kind of like when they, like, support the category in of themselves. Like, if his intro was, like, Another part of his intro was like, if there's uncontrollable, well, he needs a full uncontrollable power category team, essentially. But, like, even, like, something simple, like giving them 2 ki, or just, like, 15% attack and defense, something tiny, like, that would obviously help him a lot. Yeah, so he has 80% chance to crit. Yeah, on turn 7, he has 80% chance to crit, 90% damage reduction, and he has a target all mechanic that gives him guard. Wow. No, he's good. He is good. Again, his stats are going to be a little bit low, but he's a free-to-play, so that's to be expected. He's so good, though. So, overall, I'm going to say that I'm pleased. Amatsu, you somehow did something I thought not possible. Now, let's go ahead, and that probably sounded terrible. The speakers on my computer blew up, and I don't have my headphones plugged in, but the animations are, I mean, for Prime Battle standards, I'm going to say they're good, but as someone who actually, I mean, this is going to sound crazy. I am a Bio Broly movie enjoyer, and there are a lot of animations in the movie that could make for, like, some solid-ass super attacks that just aren't being utilized here. But, like, I'm not going to complain. Like, these look pretty good. I especially imagine in 2x speed, they're going to look even better. Like, this right here is, like, I'm pretty sure an original shot composition. Like, even though the dual eraser cannon does happen in the movie itself, he flies up and he just holds out both of his hands. Whereas in that, he actually does, like, a cross throwing them thing. So that's, like, an original. And then there's that ultimate genome ray right there as well. I will say that his intro is a bit abrupt. Like, you don't even see it shatter. He just kind of shows up. I don't know. But, like, overall, I don't know if you guys would expect me to be, like, way more mad about this or anything, because I have been talking about this. Again, I'm not a fan of Prime Battles. Hopefully he's going to drop with boosted rates, because if he does, that means grinding him isn't going to be a pain in the ass at all. They made him very good. I mean, I'm going to be running him. I don't really have an uncontrollable power team. I may honestly run this kid as a leader and then just use, like, the new Int Broly as, like, the friend lead and see what we can maybe do with that. But, yeah, I'm not really raging over this because they actually gave my boy Justice. If you remember a year ago when I made my custom concept for what I think a good Bio Broly would be, this is actually very similar to, like, the concept I have. Not making him a damage-dealing unit, just making him a very solid defensive unit. Now, obviously, mine is way worse than him because I made him a year ago when, like, Vegeta and Trunks were still, like, #1 or in contention for #1 in the game. So, I'm pretty content with this. And I want to know what you guys think. How excited are you for Prime Battle Bio Broly? He should have been summonable, but I'm going to swallow my pride on that one. He also has big bad bosses. What? Why is it only Bio? I mean, I'm going to take my dub, Bio Broly. He is the most villainous of the Brolys now. It has been confirmed. This guy is just as evil as the loser in Broly Lion Loser. So, we have 2 Brolys in the game who have big BB, and all I'm saying is that I win. I win. One of my favorite Brolys, because I like Bio Broly more than Movie 10. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but, I mean, Bio Broly, I feel like people are sleeping on it. It's a pretty good movie. It's an okay movie. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's like on par with like DBS Broly. By no means am I throwing that out there, but I just feel like it's like a little bit of a slept on gym just because the premise is so weird. But it has some cool fights in it. I don't know. It also has a really good waifu in it. If anyone hasn't watched it in a while, I forget her name, but there's like a female scientist in the movie. Top tier waifu material right there. But that's gonna be all for this time, guys. I did just want to, you know. If only this little guy knew what was to come, he would actually probably be pretty hyped. But again, I hate Prime Battles. I mean, I literally made a video, like 2 weeks ago saying how I hate Prime Battles, and then this would kind of be like my worst nightmare because, again, I hate Prime Battles because this guy could have been summonable, but I don't think the community as a whole would think that this would be very hype. Let's see, what are some of like the reactions to this? The animations, I mean, the animations, they're not bad. For Prime Battles, I'm going to say they're pretty good. What I feel like the new Int Broly, I actually agree. I'm assuming that means they like it. Bio Broly, no way. Recently watched the movie. What were your opinions on it, my guy? Yo, people are actually pretty hyped about this. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I'm gooning to this right now. Alright, we're ending the video.